Hi everyone, I'm here to show you how to make a video podcast using iMovie. First, let's get started with iMovie. I have iMovie right here. First thing you need to do is you need to make a new project. File, new project. I'm going to call this Apple Picking Podcast. Okay, I'm going to make an Apple Picking Podcast. I'm going to leave it widescreen for now. I'm not sure if my finished project will be widescreen or not. It all depends on how my photos are laid out on the screen. Let's go ahead and leave it widescreen. I'm not going to choose a theme over here on the left. I'm going to just leave it a standard theme. And I'm going to hit create. I'm going to create a project down here. Notice it's right away titled my project, Apple Picking Project. Okay. With iMovie and dragging in photos, you need to drag them directly to a project. Typically, with video like up here, you'll see that you drag in the video to the top section in the event. Photos go into the project. So I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. If you had a photo on your desktop, you could drag it in. So let's take a quick little photo. There's a screenshot. I can take this screenshot and drag it in here. Great. I don't like that. But that's to show you that it works. What I prefer is going into the little camera. This will pull up your photo library, and then you should be able to go down to your album that you've already created. Like I've created one podcast on apple picking, and these are my 13 photos that I'd like to use in my podcast. And I've already put them in the order that I'd like to use them. So simply, I can just take these photos and drag them in. iMovie by default, I believe, puts photos in at 4 to 5 seconds. Let's try. Drag one photo. Automatically put it in. If I mouse over, it shows me 4 seconds. The default is also, if you look up here, watch as I mouse over, it zooms in. It's called a Ken Burns effect. You can change that pretty easily. So I'm going to go ahead and take all my photos now. I have this one already in. Notice a green check. I'm going to take all of these and uncheck this one. By the way, when I selected all these photos, I hit Command A to select them all. And I'm going to drag them over here. Notice now it says I'm dropping in 12 photos. It's going to drop into 12 images. Personally, I like using iMovie a lot for making these kind of podcast projects because it gives you a lot of editing options. I'm now going to close this little side window, and you see each one of my images. Here is 4 seconds. Very simple. And all of them have the Ken Burns effect. I'm not concerned about the Ken Burns effect right now, the zooming in and zooming out, but we will work on that in a moment. So one of the first things you need to do is you need to make sure you have enough space for each photo that you can talk over it and not run out of time. One of the things I like to do is I like to give myself, sort of plan out how much I'm going to say and then give myself plenty of time. 4 seconds will not be enough for this introduction. Maybe for this one. I'm not sure. I'll try. Let's just see what happens. When you're ready to do your recording, press the microphone. The microphone will pop up a couple little windows, so you use this voiceover window, move this out of the way, and it says, to record, click a clip where you want the voiceover to begin. Pretty simple, right? So I'm going to click right here at the beginning. I'd like my voiceover to begin at the beginning. As a point of reference, I'm going to add a title slide in a second, but first let's do my voiceover. Here we go. You'll hear it beep. Hi, and welcome to my podcast on apple picking. Last weekend, we visited the Stribling Orchard. You can see it was an absolutely beautiful day for apple picking. One of the first things you need to do is get an apple picker, but if you're not tall enough, make sure you collect before you put it in the bag. And when you're all done, make sure you send me a piece of that yummy apple pie. Okay, so all I did was I hit the space bar to stop recording. I tried really hard to keep my talking quick and consistent, and then I tried to keep it so that I was talking about the picture that came up. 4 seconds seemed about right. I mean, I was moving a little fast, and yes, I could have probably elaborated a little bit. Like on this one, I could have talked about the length of the apple picker I'm using, or on this one, I could have, talked about how my daughter here is picking up a rotten apple a little bit more. Most importantly, I wanted to get this started and finished in under a minute, and you can see in 52 seconds, it lasted 52 seconds, and now my podcast is finished. I need to close this window. I'm going to drop a title in. Title slide is under T. I'm just going to grab a simple title. Actually, let's use this one. How about this? Yeah. Drag it all the way up. When it's blue, it's going to put it over the slide. When you see a green line, it'll put it in front of the slide. Go ahead and put it like that. And I will say, apple picking podcast. Okay. In and out. And turn up the volume. Hi, and welcome to my podcast on apple picking. Last week, you can tell I'm talking really quickly. So I'm going to slide this audio over a little. Sorry, let's mute it. Slide it over a little bit so now my voice starts before the image. I'm then going to add a couple transitions to make it look a little nicer. Maybe a cross dissolve in here. So now you'll see what it looks like. And cross dissolve. Beautiful. Now let's listen to it. Hi, and welcome to my podcast on apple picking. Okay, very simple. If you wanted to, sorry, mute it again. If you want to put text over your images, easy, easy, easy. You can go back to the text tool. The bottom third, middle, lower third over here, these all work great for text, or you can use these down here. These are wonderful. So let's drop this one right on top. I want the text to show up the whole time. That's just the beginning. That's just the end. That's in the entire slide. And for this one, I'm going to say, amazing view. And I don't need a subtitle. Delete. Okay. Amazing view. Okay. Now let me show you how to change the Ken Burns effect. I know this one. I'd like it to zoom more on the rotten apple that my daughter's picking up. I'm going to click on the blue, the little blue box that comes up, and I'm going to go to cropping and Ken Burns. The way this works is you have two boxes, green and red. The red box is where it ends, where the video will end, and the green box is where it starts. So let's start with the start. So I want it to start zoomed in on the rotten apple. I want it to end zoomed out on all of her. So start, stop. If you want to see what it looks like, hit the little play button. Ah, fantastic. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. Notice on these, another thing to look at is notice these tall pictures that were shot up and down instead of horizontal. So these are vertical shots. You do want the Ken Burns to pan the photo, pan up or down. If you say fit, it's going to show the whole image, and you'll see black on the edges, which personally I don't really like. So I'm going to undo that. And this Ken Burns is a little intense, so I'm going to go ahead and change this. I'll start there, and I'll end there. I don't really need much Ken Burns. I just want it to drift a tiny bit. Okay? And then I can click done and go to the next one. So it's great. Again, I'm going to adjust the Ken Burns a little bit because I want the start up here and the end down there. I don't really need a whole lot of movement done. This last one's fine. And my apple pie, let's change this one so it zooms way in on the apple pie. And zoom way in. Done. So now it'll go shoom, straight in. Okay, last thing on your iMovie video podcast is to drop in some audio, an audio track. I'm going to turn off this button to hide. See how that shows the waveforms? I don't need these right now. I need to drop in an audio track. This is where you use music that you've saved, purchased, downloaded in iTunes. You can also drop an audio file from your desktop if you want. I'm going to go ahead and in here I'm going to look, oh, I already have my free play music selected. Bouncing 30, Red Mustang, Endless Road. Endless Road is a minute. Really, I want something that's about 55 seconds long. So let me scroll down and see if I have anything. I'm going to search for free play. Looks like these are the only free plays. So let's go ahead and use Endless Road. I'm going to drag Endless Road. Now first, when I drag it, the whole screen turns green. That means it'll put the file across the entire project. I prefer to drop it like this. See the red line? I prefer to drop it here. That gives you the option to slide your audio around. I'm going to slide all the way to the beginning, and this is what it looks like. So if I hit the space bar, it'll play. Turn on my volume. Hi, and welcome to my podcast on apple picking. Last weekend, we visited the Stribling Orchard. you can see it was an absolutely beautiful day for apple picking. Okay. Sorry, mute. It starts out nice and loud, and then it quiets, it ducks the audio when I start talking. At the very end, I can also extend it and I can mute it out. So let me throw a title slide at the end. I'm just going to do black. I'm not actually put any title on it. I just want black so that my endless road audio can continue. And if I go down here, I should be able to stretch it out even more. Stretch out endless road. And then this endless road should automatically fade out at the end. If I look at audio adjustments, fade out, I can give it a nice long 5-second fade out. So let's go to the end and see. And when you're all done, make sure you send me a piece of that yummy apple pie. And there you go. That's your entire video podcast. Hey everyone, I forgot one important step. So you're in here creating your podcast, and you realize that you really need this photo to be longer than 4 seconds. A really easy way to extend the length of a photo is click it once, gives you this blue button, and you can change clip adjustments. Personally, I like double clicking, brings up this window, and then you can just change the duration here. It's very simple to just make it 10 seconds instead of 4 and hit done, and you'll see, that's okay, you'll see how much longer it is. Now it's 10 seconds. Additionally, if you want to shorten a clip, let's say this one. You notice my audio ends here, but I want to shorten it down. You can just slide it down and then go up here to the left and say clip, trim to selection. Or Command B is another way to do it. So that was 2 ways to lengthen or shorten clips. The last piece I wanted to show you was, let's say you want to change your audio. You need to split the audio. So I'm going to go ahead and remove Endless Road, which is the song, and I want to split this audio. So all I need to do is, maybe I made a mistake or I need to stop right there. I can, under clip, split clip is Shift Command S. So I put my cursor where I want it, I press on the keyboard, Shift Command S, and it splits it now into 2 audio clips. You can move your audio around, you can delete it, you can change it however you need. You can even re-record. So maybe I hit delete and I want to re-record the section. I click here, 3-second countdown, and now we're recording the new section about apple picking and whatnot, and you can keep talking and hit the spacebar to stop. There we go. I hope that was helpful and cleared up a few of your questions. When you're finished, you will want to go to Share and Export Movie. I prefer using Export Movie. This is the standard default, and then that gives you options of size. When you're turning this into your teacher, do not choose HD. Probably don't even choose large. I prefer the medium size. It's 640 by 360 is perfectly fine for any of your video podcasts. That's a large enough file to see what you put in, but not too large to send to your teacher. If you plan on emailing this, you better use mobile. Typically, again, I like medium. I'm going to go ahead and send this right to my desktop and export it as a medium file. We'll give it about a second or two to see how quickly this will export, and then we can take a look at the finished product. Okay, so my project just finished. Let's go ahead and minimize this and take a look at it. So it should be an M4V. You can see it here. My previous project is up here. I'm going to right click. I want to make sure this opens with QuickTime and take a look at how it looks. QuickTime is the default. Great. Okay, that's about the right size. I can stretch it a little bit or even go full screen. And let's turn on the volume and hit play. Hi, and welcome to my podcast on apple picking. Last weekend we visited the Stribling Orchard. You can see it was an absolutely beautiful day for apple picking. One of the first things you need to do is get an apple picker, but if you're not tall enough, come on up, make sure you get an adult who's a little taller and can use a larger picker. Don't forget, sometimes you can find perfectly good apples on the ground, but be careful they're not rotten. Yuck. Great. One of the things to remember is, as you're putting in your sound effects and your music, make sure your voice is the prominent audio track so you can hear what you're saying very clearly, especially if you're talking about well, in this case, I was talking about what kind of apples to choose and what to look out for. You want to make sure that your music isn't too loud, your sound effects aren't too distracting, and that your audience really gets the point. Well, I hope that was helpful and you enjoyed my podcast demo.